So maybe recently you've decided you want to get an older Mercedes-Benz, or maybe you just got one and you want to learn how to work on it yourself. Well, if you do this, you can save a lot of money. In fact, a lot of my videos, I encourage people to not even consider ownership unless they're willing to learn to work on these old cars. It's just too expensive to take them into the shop. Well, let's say, for example, you just get this old Mercedes-Benz and right away you notice it doesn't have a right side mirror right here. This was typical of a lot of the models back in the 70s where the right side mirror was optional. Well, how do you go about doing this? If you were to drive this into a Mercedes dealer and say, can you get me a right side mirror? It's very likely they can't even get one, but if they could you imagine how much that's going to cost? So what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to figure out how to find one of these, either repair it or refurbish it and get it installed in your car. And this is where Mercedessource can really help you. All the videos I've done on YouTube are basically just touch the surface videos. But I've done a video that deals with these old mirrors on the older models, you know, like up to about 1985. So let me go through a scenarios here that you might be faced with when trying to deal with either replacing or repairing one of these old mirrors. It won't take you long to realize that these right side mirrors are just not available new. So you're going to have to find one used, but you have to be careful when you go after one of these used. You need to know what you're looking for. You need to know what the problems might be. In this case, can you imagine buying this mirror? Someone might say, for instance, on eBay, oh, I removed this mirror, it's in good shape. And you get it back and you find out that the hinge line has been broken right there. See that? And you might be thinking, well, maybe it's supposed to do that. No, it's not supposed to do that. And then you might get one that has a bad faded glass. Well, how do you get the glass out? And of course, there's another problem that a lot of these mirrors have, particularly on the driver's side. As you've been driving your old Benz, maybe you've been trying to adjust this driver's side outside mirror, and you're supposed to be able to move it here with this lever. Well, you're sitting here reefing on this thing and it'll hardly move the glass, and that is not normal. And that can be repaired, but you got to completely take the mirror apart. You can't just sit here and like shoot WD-40 in there and expect that to work. This mirror has to come off, the glass has to come off, and you need to get inside the guts to put the proper, I'm going to repeat, proper lubricant in there that's going to last. Because a lot of lubricant like lithium grease, WD-40, some of these items you buy at the local auto parts stores, they might last for 2 or 3 months. So this can be fixed, and you can do this yourself because you should be able to easily adjust this mirror here. The mirror should move freely, but it should hold position. And I can show you how to do that. You also have to be very careful that you buy the right mirror. Not all these old mirrors will mount on the different cars. Even though the mirror's identical, look at the mounting plates. Look at the difference. This is a W116 chassis, and this is a W123 chassis. So if you're going to own one of these older Mercedes-Benz, one of the first things you're going to have to learn is the chassis and model of your car, because that's how you order these parts. So let's say you just recently acquired a good 116 right side mirror, but look here, it's not moving. You know, the seller said, oh, it's in pretty good shape. You know, there's no dents here. It's got a little paint missing on the edges, but it will not move. It's totally frozen. You don't need to panic. These can be taken apart and lubricated inside. Now, this is an example of one of my on-demand videos. And what do I mean by on-demand video? I mean, these are videos that are on my website. There's over 175 of these. They're in-depth training videos that take you through step-by-step process on how to repair specific problems on Mercedes-Benzes. So maybe you haven't even considered looking at one of my on-demand videos. I have to charge a fee because they're expensive to produce. So if you've only watched my YouTube videos, I want to encourage you to check out my on-demand videos, which are only available on my website. So I'm going to put a link to this video sampler in the description below this video. It'll take you right to that on my website, and it'll explain a little bit more about the 4 videos I've chosen for this special offering. This video sampler, of course, is going to cover my video on repairing these outside rear view mirrors. But it's also going to include 3 other of my more popular videos. What I did was try to choose kind of a selection of videos that might appeal to a broad audience. So the second video is going to be on basic automotive electrical troubleshooting. The third video will be my very popular video on extreme auto engine detailing. And then finally, I'm including a very technical video on cleaning and testing CIS gasoline fuel injectors.